Hey, it's Gabe with API Nation, and today I'm with Daniel Pitrone, who is a KW agent who's running an independent office, kind of out there making things happen. And he set up quite a few automations to run this office. So he's going to take us through that stuff. But before we get into the automations and how exactly, how the sausage is made, I guess. How did you get into real estate, Daniel? How did you get here where you currently are today?
So I've been licensed in 2011.
Ooh, okay.
And so I would say that two things kind of really were the catalyst for me to get into real estate. Three things. One, I had a kind of a mentor when I was in my mid-teens that said, buy real estate, rent them out, passive income. And so I've kind of always had in the back of my head. And then the second thing was I went to college, but then I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I did not want to take on a bunch of debt for something I didn't really want to do. And I saw real estate as a vehicle that if I worked hard, that I could earn a good income. Mm-hmm. Two, I could acquire those rentals and start building that passive income. And so it was kind of a combination of all of that happening in my early 20s that caused me to get licensed and jump into real estate. I did a little bit of property management when I first got licensed, and then I got into sales in January of 2013, and I really never looked back. In 2017, I had the opportunity to open this office with a great group of people. We kind of led this office for its first 2 years, and then realized that I am better off as a sales position because I like to travel more than that leadership role really allowed. And so now I am just a solo agent here in the office and running a small team here in Colorado Springs.
Very cool. Very cool. There's like two things that kind of popped out to me. I mean, this isn't what this video is about or anything, but it's very interesting. One, you have a mentor, which is, I don't know if you still have one, but that seems pretty huge and kind of really got you sprungboard into success a little bit.
Well, here's the thing: is I look back over my life and I can see that even if in those periods of my life I recognize them for what they were, I don't know, but certainly throughout my life, and I do have a coach now through KW Maps coaching, and I'm just a big believer of having people that can just pour some energy and pour some logic and kind of beat you when you need to be beat to kind of help you get to the next level, because I really think that it helps.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Super helpful. The other thing that you kind of described is, you started the team, you started the office, you did it for a while, and then you kind of recognized not really my jam. And I think a lot of people like my age, or a lot of people who are getting into real estate now, are kind of like, what should I do? And it seems like you kind of tried it for a couple of years and you realize these are my strengths, these are not my strengths, but you had to try it to do it.
Yeah, I had to try it, and it caused a lot of growth, and it caused and so I'm definitely very, very grateful for the opportunity that I had, and I'm also very happy for where I am today.
Very cool. Yeah. Cool. So can you describe kind of like what is your office currently like? Like, what is your real estate business currently like? How would you describe it?
Yeah. So my personal real estate business is, I think if you're in the KW ecosystem for any length of time, you kind of get beat into you that your database is your data bank, right? And so that's where I run my business for the most part. I have a 760-ish people inside of Command and about 45-ish people inside of MailChimp that I am marketing to. Those are the kind of people that are in my database. And so I obviously pour a lot of my time, effort, and money into that. And then I have a few programs outside of that I obviously am kind of generating new business and bringing new blood into the database. Like I mentioned, I think I've been doing in sales now for a little over 8 years.
Yeah.
And I am a solid producer. I do between like 25 and 30 deals a year here in this Colorado Springs area, and our average price point is about $500,000 or so. So translates to a little over 8, 9, depending on the year, $8, 9, $10 million in volume a year. And that's my business in a nutshell. And we can dig into any parts of it that you'd want to, but that's the overall nutshell.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Let's get into kind of the system you've set up. You're running on kind of a pretty lean staff. Like you mentioned, you have a virtual assistant. It's you, and you kind of have a team around you, but it's by no means a lot of people working on this stuff, but you're still doing a pretty good volume. So can you kind of take us through the system you have set up? where are you getting leads? How are you getting them into command? And then what do you do with them once they're in command?
Sure. So ultimately, as far as again, I'm kind of speaking KW lingo here, which I know that it's going to resonate with a lot of people, but it may not resonate with everyone. But people fall into two categories: Mets and unmets in my world. And so basically, the people who are in my database, for the most part, are Mets. That's not everybody. There have been some online leads that I've never connected with that are still in my database. But let's just say for the conversation that those are the Mets that are in my database, and then I'm constantly generating unmet or generating some Mets via two systems primarily. I run a geo farm in my neighborhood, which has proven successful, and then I run what I call the Spring Servant Appreciation Program, where I am taking lunch to sheriff's department, the police department. My wife was a school teacher, so for teachers, but basically your law enforcement, your military members, active duty and retired firefighters, teachers, medical professionals. And I just have a spiel with them, part with my lender, and we're able to provide savings to them. So I bring them lunch to share the program with them. And then when they respond, I'll of course add them to the database. And that is, those are the two primary lead sources that I'm utilizing to fill the database based on, and then beyond that, it's just sphere of influence, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's a really cool program. How did you get this idea for, taking food to kind of the public servants?
Well, I looked at the Homes for Heroes program.
Oh yeah. Huh?
And it's so basically I'm running my own Homes for Heroes program, more or less. And Homes for Heroes is a national program, and I've just built a small team of here that's basically the same thing locally. But I figured if I kind of controlled the relationship, I was probably more apt to want to participate in it. And so that's what I've done. And so I'm happy to share, but I just say that basically what I do is I provide 15% of my gross commission to that community builder as a way of kind of putting my money where my mouth is and thanking them for their service to our community. And that can typically save them anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 in a transaction. And people really save when they, obviously sell and buy with me, because it works for both selling and buying. My lender also kicks in anywhere from $500 to $1,500 worth of lender credits. And so we can really save that community builder several $1,000s in that buy transaction.
Sweet. No, that's a great idea. One thing you mentioned earlier, you geo farm your neighborhood. Are you using a system for that, or is it just you're going door to door, flyering? How are you doing that exactly?
I was going door to door prior to COVID, and then the door to door kind of stopped for a little while. And to be honest, I haven't started it back up. And so my geo farm consists of a couple different things. One, I mail the postcards every month to the geo farm. I also mail at the end of each year like a calendar. It's like a little magnet calendar. They're a couple of bucks. It's not cheap, but I think it's worth it, because then I'm hanging in their house on the refrigerator for the most part. And then for my immediately couple of blocks, I became the neighborhood watch block captain. So I get to run a couple of meetings each month. And then, pardon me. And then I have done a few small events in the neighborhood. Like, I know it's kind of small and dumb, but I rented a big dumpster, but I just blasted the neighborhood and said, hey, everybody, there's a dumpster for some spring cleanup. Just come by the house and drop it in type stuff. We've had some neighborhood, we're by the park that there's a couple of big events by. And so I've done a few neighborhood barbecues around some of those events. Like, hey, on your way to the park to watch the fireworks, or on your way to the park to see the balloon festival, stop by, grab a hot dog. And so really, I just kind of done my best to communicate and position myself as kind of maybe a leader in the neighborhood, or somebody who really wants to build some community in that neighborhood, make the neighborhood better. Organize some cleanup days over the past summer to clean up alleyways. So just, again, it's about coming from contribution, and that's kind of how I run everything. And so if I can just give in the neighborhood, in the community, then what eventually happens is people say, hey, I need some help with real estate, and I'm usually the guy they call.
That's awesome. I love the garbage can idea. The garbage can is so underrated. So often there's stuff around the house. Yeah.
It's true. And what actually I did for that particular thing is I had the dumpster sitting in front of my house on the street, and then I also had a small trailer parked by for toxic stuff. Old paint and old cans have been sitting in your garage and oiled. You're not supposed to put in the dumpster. And so what happens is I would take it to the El Paso County Toxic Waste Center, and I kind of offer that service. And a lot of people were like, "Thank you so much. I didn't know this has been sitting in my garage for 5 years, right?"
Yeah.
And so it's just a huge thing to do for people, and and it's not that expensive.
Yeah. No. Once you do it for, everybody, yeah, for sure.
Right. And the dumpster was a couple $100, and the El Paso County Toxic Waste just takes it for free. So it's like
Right.
it took me an hour to go out there and drop it off, and that's it. So it's a great piece of value to offer for really no effort. I mean,
Yeah.
very little effort and very little money.
Right. No, that's great. I love that idea. Cool. So it seems like you're out there. You're kind of the mayor of your neighborhood. Is kind of what you're headed towards.
That's the idea, right? Be the
Yeah.
mayor of the neighborhood.
That's right. Cool. And that's generating some leads for you. You're popping those into KW Command. Is there any special way you're doing it? You're just adding them? Are you doing tags, or what's kind of the system there?
So I learned very early on that I hate double data entry.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are going to cringe when I tell them this, but everybody who's in my database is also in my phone. And so like a lot of people want to keep that separate. I don't. And I can't see the advantage for me. So honestly, I just put people on my phone. And when people go on my phone, they're in my database.
Okay.
And the way I have that set up is basically when they go into my phone, I will tag them with the appropriate tags. So as long as you're just, very particular about when you're putting people into your phone, they're going in with a full name, they're going in with their email address, a cell phone number, and they're going in with the right tags, they end up in the right spots based on the system that I have set up. And so I never have to remember to go back to my computer and put them into KW Command or put them into MailChimp or put them into, you name the software. I don't have to remember to do that because once they're in my phone, they're in my database. And when I did do some online lead generating, when they went into Google Contacts,
Mm-hmm.
They were in my phone, obviously, because I have an Android phone, the Google Contacts, but also they went into Command and went into MailChimp.
Okay, cool. So you have it set up so that there's an automation that as you put them in your phone, you kind of label them in Google Contacts, and that, hits, starts the dominoes to drop them into KW Command. And then do they actually go from Google Contacts into MailChimp, or do they go from KW Command into MailChimp?
So actually they go into Google Contacts on my phone,
mm-hmm.
and then via the API Nation Sync, they go from Google Contacts to MailChimp and Google Contacts to KW Command.
Okay, cool. All right.
And so really Google Contacts is almost more the place where I manage my contacts and the data, because to be honest, it's easier to manage the contacts in Google Contacts. It's a faster web-based experience than KW Command, and the tags that I'm utilizing work just as easily in Command as they do in in Google Contacts as they do in KW Command.
Yeah. Okay, cool. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, go ahead.
So, I mean, I don't know when you peel back the curtain. I mean, I didn't really prepare for this too much, so people are going to see how messy my database is a little bit, but I'm happy to kind of peel back the curtain and kind of show everybody how I have that set up, if that's of interest, if that's what they want to see.
Yeah. If you want to, show it a little bit, and then also know if once we finish this, I'll be sure to go through and blur out any personal information, and we kind of we can just talk about blurry lines of text.
Sure. Cool. So I will. So ultimately, all of my people live in Google Contacts,
mm-hmm.
and actually, I utilize a software called Contacts Plus. I really like this software. This is actually where I manage a lot of my people, because Contacts Plus does a couple of really nice things for me. One, it will take the email addresses I have assigned with them. It'll actually ping the email addresses. It'll tell me what the email addresses are potentially bad. Yeah. It also goes out and finds social media that may be attached with that contact. Like, for example, if I log in here to Aaron's information, it takes his email address and it found his Twitter and his LinkedIn account. And then all of a sudden I can, then those are connected to him, right?
Yeah.
And so my tagging software, I break my database into 3 big buckets. And those 3 big buckets are basically an A list, a B list, and a C list. And really it's primarily an A list and a B list. So I can have my B list over here, for example. I have like 577 people in my B list. Now what Contacts Plus does is Contacts Plus keeps my database synced across Google Contacts, Apple Contacts, and Microsoft People. That may not be valuable to everybody, but overall, I like Contacts Plus because of the social media integration, because it tells me if email addresses are changed, it pulls data from the internet to make my contacts more complete. And for the $100 a year, it gives me a really nice, simple place to manage all of my data in my database, which then syncs to all of these other locations. So at this point, I have 1,888 contacts in Contacts Plus. I also have probably 1,889 contacts in Google Contacts. So within a contact or two, I'm keeping all of my data synced.
Yeah. Very cool. So this Contacts Plus actually kind of enriches your Google Contacts information. Like
It
it's filling
does.
in blanks. Okay, cool.
It does. And I used to be an Apple user. I broke up with Apple a few years ago, but I still kind of like to keep that database kind of pure, if you will. Also, the Contacts Plus app, again, Contacts Plus isn't paying me to say this. I'm just really a fan of the product. Ultimately, I can take a picture of business cards, again, tag them appropriately
cool.
in Contacts Plus, and I have all the information saved. It's in my Apple Contacts, in my Google Contacts, in my Microsoft People. So it's just a great way for me to manage my contacts in Contacts Plus.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah. Is it a Android app? Is it an iPhone app, or is it only web based?
Well, it's web based. They believe they have an Android app, and I believe they also have an Apple OS app.
Okay, cool. So that's how you get the business card in. You actually just pull out your phone, take a picture, and
correct.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
So now what I do is I have my API Nation account, thanks to you guys. You guys are awesome. And ultimately, I will log into my. Let me just go here, TW, and inside of my API Nation, I only have really 4 syncs running, and the 4 syncs are Google Contacts and Mailchimp for my A list, the Google Contacts, the KW Command for my A list, and then for my B list as well. And what API Nation does, for those who may be watching this and are still unfamiliar with it, is that it syncs data both ways between these 2 pieces of data. So it's a really great tool that allows me to do this. And it like looks every 10 minutes, I think. So what's really great about this is I can literally put somebody in my phone. Let's say I'm in my neighborhood and someone rolls on the window and waves and we talk for a minute and I get their information. I put, Aaron Jones into my phone. I tag them B list. I tag them North Memorial Park Geo Farm. And those are the tags that are appropriate for that contact. And now they're saved into my phone, that Google Contacts. It gets synced here. And now I have their email address. And next time a piece of mail goes out from MailChimp, they get a copy of it. Yeah. They're also immediately added to a quarterly call plan inside of KW Command, because that's what I have Command set up to do when a new contact comes in with an A list or a B list tag.
Wow. Okay, cool. That's awesome. So, and then we'll just get into MailChimp just to touch on that. Are you using that to send out weekly newsletters, or do you have like drip campaigns, or what's going on in there?
So I have a monthly email that goes out from MailChimp. It's a fairly again, kind of a fairly personal email. So again, I'm happy to share as much as you or a little as you want to see. But ultimately, if I go to, I'll show you my contacts. I have 656 contacts that are subscribed still. So I've had some unsubscribers, which is all part of the business. Yep. And then I have my campaigns, and I have an email that goes out, and this is what my email looks like. And call our home doctors, hello test name.
Oh, cool. Yeah, okay.
Some things that we did that previous month. My insurance guy that I was kind of promoting that month. Things about the market, a little infographic on the market, and then a little footer with some links to the bottom of it, and that's my email, and that goes out once a month. And I'm always recapping the month prior, right? So in September I recap August, and then here in October I'll recap what we did in September, and that's just kind of my flow of information. I've learned that people don't care about real estate until they care about real estate, and so ultimately I provide them content that hopefully they enjoy, which is basically my family's adventures over the course of a month, and that's it.
That's awesome. How long do you think it takes you to kind of put together that email? Is that like a half a day thing, or is that a couple hours, or what?
So my virtual assistant puts together the infographic, and he puts it out on all my social platforms. I will basically get into my Google Photos, and I just send him 7 or 8 photos. So he uploads them, he resizes them. So he kind of preps it out for me, if you will. And then basically I just get in there and I do the typing, and I just do the storytelling. So it probably takes me about 2 hours to and I'm not great with words. And so I'm sure somebody who is a better storyteller than me and a better typist than me could probably knock it out in a lot quicker than that. But that's just it's honestly one of the things that I kind of like push off, because it's like, oh man, I got to write something, right? And so, but it goes out every month, and I have a really good open rate. I have 35 to 40% most months are opening it, and so it's good.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's so true. They don't care about real estate until they care about real estate. But it is kind of a fun, it's fun to read the stories, fun to kind of track with people's lives, especially when people do it on social media, but social media is so nuts.
It,
I mean,
it,
people get
it,
lost, and yeah,
I would say
it's
two things. It's true. It's nuts and it's crazy. And also, my wife and I don't post on social media that much. So it's like, if you
yeah,
want to know what's happening in our world, you better sign up for my email.
yeah, no, definitely, yeah, absolutely. Cool. So we got the MailChimp, we got the quarterly phone calls through KW Command.
Right.
And then is there anything else kind of going on from KW Command into other systems, or is this is it, man? This is how we make the butter.
So I have 12 emails that go out through KW Command, and these are the same email that goes out every single year. So if you were part of my database in January and you got that email, you get it again. And they're basically a combination of kind of why work with me emails, also maybe some testimonial emails, and maybe some stories of things that we were able to help clients do emails. A couple of chicken soup for the soul type emails, which I know. So it's just kind of a mix of content. So basically, there's one static email that goes out each month to my database, and there's one that monthly market update email that's more relevant, more real content, if you will, and then the quarterly call and the quarterly calls that come up from there. Again, I'm gonna be transparent here. It's like in KB Command, they come in. The smart plan is set up that it's when a contact comes in with a B list tag, immediately add them to the quarterly call plan, immediately add them to the 33-step touch, which is really only a 24-step touch. I'm working on it. And then the tasks are generated here on the task thing. And the idea obviously is I come in every day and I would knock out these tasks to stay on top of my quarterly calls, which, as you can tell, that I'm past due on. But that's essentially the system. I do run events. I run a couple of events each year. I do some other things as well, but again, doesn't really tie into API Nation. But I'm happy to talk about it as much or a little as you want.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, cool. So you got the quarterly calls. You're hopping in there. You got the email set up. Awesome. And then, is there any other ways you're kind of saving time through, just fun systems you have set up, or other apps that you enjoy?
Well, that we could spend hours on rabbit holes like that. But I mean, but yeah, I mean, I would say that the other thing that I would say, again, I'm not necessarily plugging Contacts Plus, but I have other tags that aren't.
Oh, actually, that was one question I want to get into. Sorry, we'll come back to the other tags. You have tag A and tag B and tag C. What are those three kind of buckets? What's going on
there? Yeah, so tag A are what I would consider A-list clients, people who have done business with me, people who have referred clients to me, people who have attempted to work with me. Like, we tried to help them buy a house, but they just couldn't quite do it for whatever reason. So anybody that I know, if they were going to think real estate, they're going to think Daniel Pitrone. And so those are the people that are my A-list people. B-list people are people that I have some level of relationship with, that I think may do business with me if I gave them an easy path to do it. There are a lot of B-list people that I have in my B-list that I've talked, I call them up on a quarterly call and they're like, "Oh yeah, we just bought a house," and I'm like, "Congratulations!" I mean, it's part of it, right? So, so anyway, so my B-list people are people that I would love to bring into the A-list given the opportunity, but they haven't earned the right to be there yet. And the C-list people are I really don't have very many of those. These are people that maybe I'm missing some information from. Maybe I have never met with them, never got them on the phone, but somehow they ended up in my database, and I just really don't have much interaction or communication with them at all, other than whatever, they ended up in my database somehow, but I really don't have much of a relationship with them.
Got it. Okay, cool. No, that makes a lot of sense. And then, so you were going to say you do have other tags kind of set up here that kind of help you out with some stuff?
I do. There are, let me just move us out of the way here. The only other things that are like, it's not critical for me inside of Command to have like my GeoFarm tag, but I do have the GeoFarm tag in here. And so this is, my, so here's my North Memorial Park, North Memorial Neighborhood GeoFarm. I have that tag for those people. I can export a list to do mailers right from Contacts Plus. And so things like this, I have a COS tag. This one's a little bit of a weak tag right now. I really need to go through my database and add this tag to everyone who's truly living in Colorado Springs. because then what I can start to do is I can start to filter and say, well, hey, I want the A-list and the B-list people and the who are in Colorado Springs, and I could pump out a list very quickly of all the people that I wanted to invite to an event or wanted to send mailers to, or whatever the case may be. And then and there's also another like direct marketing piece called Boomerang Direct Marketing. Some people are familiar with it. It's only available in a few states, I think, but these are, again, probably A-list people who live locally that I want to send a postcard to. And so I upload that list to MailChimp, to Boomerang, like every other month, because it is changing every couple of months. And so I just use my different tags from Contacts Plus I have a pop by list, for example. Again, people who are A-list that I don't need a pop by list inside of KW Command because I'm not really doing anything with my pop bys in Command, and it's easy to manipulate the data here. So really, if you want to think about it, like Contacts Plus is where I manage my data, and Command is just a tool on how I communicate with them.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. I love the Boomerang idea, sending out the postcards. So I mean, you're pretty close to 33 touches. You said it was about 24 right now, but it's pretty close, with the pop-bys and the postcards. It's
my A-list people, it's way more than 36. I think my B-list people that I have mailing addresses for, they're getting a quarterly call, they're getting 24 emails a year, and they're getting a few mailers a year. So I'm pretty confident to say that I'm pretty darn close to 33 touch with my B-list. I'm well over 36 touch with my A-list. And then the C-list and anybody below it don't really have. And I would say the other thing about it is because I don't do a lot of online lead generation, I don't have a lot of complex like touch systems. Like I'm not bringing in a lead from Facebook and then running a Facebook campaign on that lead. I'm not bringing in a lead from Zillow and then running a Zillow follow-up plan. And I don't, again, same thing. I don't really bring in a lot of leads from open houses. I don't really have an open house plan, which some realtors do, and it's amazing. And I think it's amazing. But I really just have my long-term nurture plan that everyone kind of goes into, and kind of depending on where you fall and how much information I have on you will kind of determine how many touches you'll get over the course of a year. The last thing I'll say as far as a lead generation is I have through Command, you can run targeted ads to your database, and they just use their email address to do some really targeted ads. So I can really hit my people on Facebook and just do some impressions and touches for pennies, essentially. And so if I ever do a promo or a promo or a testimonial video of any sort, I can run it to my list. So they're like not only seeing me in their inbox, they're not getting calls from me. Yes, they're getting a postcard from me, but they're also seeing me on social media. And so it's just the modalities in which you can touch people and just kind of like really look like a bigger agent than you maybe actually are, but you're in front of them all the time.
Yeah, which is the key, because
it's the key.
Yeah, it feels like a lot, especially if you're new to kind of the industry. You're like, man, I feel like I'm just screaming at these people all the time, and it's really like, yeah, everybody's screaming at them. That's kind of the trick, is
right.
You gotta get out there. Yeah,
you just gotta get out there, right, and just show up with, again, content that's not you gotta show up with good quality content, and it doesn't have to be like quality of like professional. That's not what I mean, but it has to be quality like they actually want to consume it to some level, right. or that it's an impression that gives you that, I guess, that touch. Yeah. And you can't make them angry, right? I've had a few people who say stop contacting me, and again, that's part of the gig. But for the most part, as long as you're providing some content that people want to consume, it's not a problem.
Yeah, I feel like the content you're kind of describing and what you've shown so far has been like, this is very relevant to me and real estate. It's not like I grabbed this, random article off of a page and I'm sending it to you and I kind of half read it, but I need to get content out there. So I'm doing it, or here's a video that I bought from somebody. It's really like, testimonials, your family, how your business is doing, and, pop by. So very, very cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
What else?
I think that is pretty much it. So we got the leads coming in. You got some systems set up to kind of nurture them. Keep the referral business coming. Is there anything kind of on the back end, kind of running the office that you kind of really love, or you just kind of got an admin handling that, or?
I'm trying to think. Like, really, I have my TC does all of the compliance, like filing stuff for me, right? So in Colorado, we have a unique software called TTME Contract.
Oh, yeah,
so like
right,
that is like a piece of the pie or the puzzle, and so, but it's not super relevant, I don't think, for people who are outside of Colorado. But really, there's nothing that jumped out at me as anything super useful beyond that.
Yeah, very cool. Last thing then, kind of, do you have your sights set on any new apps or platforms or anything you're kind of like, this is something I'd like to incorporate in 2023?
I've always been kind of analyzing that Keeping Current Matters content platform. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it at all, but it seems like they put out some pretty solid content that could be useful. And because it gives you another touch that's, again, you're paying the 30 or 40 or whatever dollars a month it is for that. And I'm always hesitant to put the money out, especially because I'm always afraid that I'm not going to utilize it to its highest potential. So that's something I've been eyeballing, and then just being able to give my people an extra piece of content. HomeBot is another thing that I've analyzed that I've never really fully implemented, as just being able to keep all of my homeowners in my area up to date on the home values. I've heard a lot of great things about HomeBot. And the other piece of software that I use a lot and that I love, and is actually part of my 33 Touch, is a couple times a year I'll send personal BombBomb videos, and so BombBomb has been a great tool. And then I'll, depending on the relationship, I'll even send I do birthday cards too. I didn't really touch on that, but birthday cards. If I have their birthday, they get a birthday card with a $5 or $6 Starbucks gift card, or Dutch Bros if you're local, because Dutch Bros is superior.
Dutch Bros is so good. Yeah. Oh man.
It's so good. Yeah. But if they're not local, that I don't know, then they'll get a Starbucks.
Yeah.
I actually put my uncle got a birthday card today in the mail, but he's in Lincoln, Nebraska, so he gets Starbucks. Anyway, so BombBomb is something that I love and that I use all the time. I probably send 20 videos a week with BombBomb.
All right.
And it's been a great tool.
Yeah, yeah.
And for those who don't know, BombBomb is a video recording app that basically allows you to send a video email inside of Google. It also allows you to record your screen and kind of share whatever information you want to share with people. As far as that goes, I don't want to just show the screen anymore. But ultimately, you can. Especially when I'm doing comps, I love showing people how I'm arriving at the numbers that I'm coming to. So I'll say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is your area, this is your house, this is your square footage when it was built, yada, 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 plug it all in. And this is what I'm looking at. This is all the homes that I think are better or for worse for whatever reason. And this is my thoughts. Let's talk about it. And so I love being able to show people. And I think showing people takes the trust level to a whole new level, because they can see that all the logic is there and all the numbers are there.
Yeah, no, I like that. The video thing, especially, for COVID, it was huge because you normally would have done it in person, but now we did it in video. And I think people got used to it and they kind of liked it,
Right.
And so that's kind of where we're at. Very, very cool. Cool. So Keeping Current Matters, you're kind of looking at that. If you're not familiar with Keeping Current Matters, it's a service that they create really high quality content about real estate, about buying, about selling. And then you subscribe to it, and then they put your branding on pieces of content that you can send that's useful to your list or to people on social. So that's something to keep in mind. BombBomb and then HomeBot. So I think that's a great list of awesome tools. It's cool. Well, I think that's probably about it, Daniel. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by. This has been great to kind of learn about, just taking a peek, like you said, behind the curtain, seeing how somebody's running their business. It's obviously going well, and you're a bigger, you're presenting as a bigger agent than kind of the time you're putting in. You get time back with your family. It's great.
Yep, I love it.
Cool, man.
Cool.
Well, have a great week, and thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. See you.